Okay, hello, I'm Dave Campbell with the American Federation of Astrologers, and we're going to talk about the math of astrology. So many people have asked how to calculate their birth chart in one classes. Well, we thought it would be great to do a video and just show you how. And so I'm going to break the video up in about 3 or 4 segments so that you can review each segment really quickly if you didn't get something or if you need to review something. It'll be real easy for you just to watch that segment over again. And it won't be such a long, huge video. So there will probably be about 3 or 4 videos. So I'm going to take you all the way through every step. And these are the steps that will help you become proficient in calculating a birth chart by hand, which is what's required to take any of the tests that are out there. The AFA student exam is required to do that. And then there's even more math in the professional exam as well. So I'm going to do this, and then hopefully we'll keep going with how to do progressions, and then how to do solar returns, and everything, how to calculate anything you need to in astrology. So some preliminary things we need to talk about are, one of the best books out there is The Math of Astrology, a step-by-step guide by Peter Murphy and Beth Koch Rosato. And so we'll be using this book for the most part in these sessions, and it has all the lingo and chart examples, and you can follow along. It makes it real easy to follow along, and the formulas are in there too. So in a lot of places I've taken math tests before with astrology, they give you algorithm sheets or logarithm sheets, and we don't do that. You have to learn how to calculate the logarithm yourself, which is even better, because then what if you don't have the logarithm sheet? You can make your own. So you'll also need a table of houses. We're using the Placidus system, and this is the AFA table of houses that just got reprinted, so it's updated and it looks real nice in print. And it's available at the American Federation of Astrologers, astrologers.com. You'll need an ephemeris. Both I use for the calculation, the preliminary calculations. I'm going to teach you how to use the noon ephemeris. I have my own sticker on here just because ephemerises keep getting taken. So to identify my own. But anyway, the noon ephemeris is what we're going to teach the first part of the calculation with. For the most part, a lot of people use the midnight ephemeris. You can use either one. The formula is in there for the midnight, and I'm also going to give you a download of 4 sheets that we're going to go off of, 4 sheets of paper that I found the best formula ever to do the first part of the calculations. And I've studied this since the 80s before computers. And we had to do the math tests by hand, or math by hand. And you'll need an the American Atlas, or an atlas. And if you can't get one, because these are not in print anymore, hardly ever, you can also just do Google and find the information you need, like the longitude and latitude, if you don't have access to that. Nowadays, you can just go on a computer and do it. But this is really handy because it also gives you time zones, and it'll also give you the location, what the time is from Greenwich for that city, for that exact location. But I'm also going to show you the formula, how to figure out that by yourself too. So if you don't have one of these, you'll be able to figure it out without it. And so if you go to the astrologers.com website, you'll be able to download this procedure for writing a natal horoscope. And it's the very easiest one I've ever found in all this time. This is the one I keep going back to over and over again. And so if I can do it, anybody can do it. And we're going to do Aretha Franklin's. And this, I used to use her as an example way before she passed, because I like her, but also it's kind of a tricky one. And I like to show people a tricky birth time, because if I show you the easiest one in the world to do and then just walk away, you're going to run into something that's tricky or a little bit more difficult, and then you're going to be stumped. So I picked one that people got stumped on a lot, so that we could start there and get that out of the way, so everything else will seem easier. Does that make sense? So the first things we'll need are, you need the birth date, 3 things you must have. date, the birth time, and the city, state, or country, and/or country. And so the birth date for Aretha Franklin is March 25th, 1942 at 10:30 p.m. and she was born in Memphis, Tennessee. So, but the first thing we need to do is figure out if she was born in daylight savings time or what they called wartime back in the 40s. So we're going to have to look that up and figure out if she was born in wartime. That's the first thing you need to figure out. Daylight savings time. So you come to the American Atlas, you go to Tennessee, and you go down to Memphis. Actually, the front page of this should say. This will give you a timetable, and if you just find the year 1940, there's many timetables for this city. We find that she was born during wartime. So the first calculation we have to do is subtract. So she was born in wartime, which is minus 1 hour. So our first calculation is to put it at 9:30 p.m. And that's Central Wartime, CWT. Okay. And another thing I'm going to do, we're going to work in, I think it's easier if you work in the 24-hour clock, so using military time. And then in that book, Beth Cook Rosato's book, the math book, it has all these time adjustments. And also to remember when we're working with time, that's where people get screwed up the most, is we're not using increments of 10 so much, we're using increments of 60. For instance, 60 minutes is 1 degree. And so you have to remember to convert this over and over. And then on the clock, 60 minutes is 1 hour. So we're going to work in military time. And so let's read our instructions on how to, what's to do next. So we have to figure out now if she is born, what time zone she was in. And so we look on this map, there's time zones, but for Central Standard Time, we have to add 6 hours to the birth time. So we're going to do that. We're going to take her time, which for 21:30. So that's military time. This is for 9 o'clock is 21:30. And then I find it easier if you get in the habit of lining everything up into the 3 columns, hours, minutes, seconds, and then keep it that way, because where I find people make the most mistakes is only a simple, they put it in the wrong column or they added it wrong. It's not that they got the concept wrong or that it's a simple math error. And if you just follow these rules, these simple rules, time tested, you won't make mistakes. So we subtracted the hour initially off there, and we added in the time zone. equals for the Central Standard Time was to add in 6 hours. So we have to go 06, 00, 00. I know it seems redundant, but do it anyway. 37, so 27 is what we come up with there. So 27:30. So what's wrong with that picture? If we were working in a 24-hour period, there's no such thing as 27 hours, right? Anytime you come across that, you have to subtract 24 hours. Oops, 24 hours. So you are going to get 30, 00, and 3 hours. So what that's telling you is that this changed, because it changed from one day to the next day. Because there's not such thing as 27 hours. So that would be 3 hours into the next day. So now her time is going to be 3:26. Her birth date is now 3:26:42. And that's where people get tricked out, because then they're looking at the wrong date in the books. And so the time that she was born is 3:30 in the morning in Greenwich Mean Time, which is now called UT, Universal Time. So this is the very first step. It's really important. So the Greenwich Mean Time is 3:30 GMT, or Universal Time, as it's now called. So on your computer program software will often say UT now. Some of the older programs still list GMT. Either way, it's the same thing. Okay, so on the procedure for calculating, we go to the first page. So the next adjustment on page 2 is the interval. Make sure this is the right order. Yeah, it is. The interval before or after noon that the birth occurred. At this point, you'll have to refer to your ephemeris using the same example as before. They gave an example in here as well. We're doing reasons time. So 3:26:42. So go to your noon ephemeris. March 26th. And where it says in the first column, sidereal time. It's 0:13. Make sure this is for sidereal time for 3:26:42 in the book, in the noon book, is 00:13.12. So we're going to take and end this video, and we'll start the next one in the next step. So we've got this far. We've got with the sidereal time, then we got our Greenwich Mean Time. We've already done some calculations, but we're going to switch the video in a minute to the next step 2. All right.